is on the end of this line. Mr. Geoff Barker, good evening.
We'll have a virtual handshake. Hiya, John, how are you?
I'm good, actually, mate. Yeah, I'm sort of, I'm buzzing today. I don't know why. It's nothing I've eaten or drinking, but I'm just buzzing. I'm on the front burner. And, it's just...
Must be the weather.
It's got to be the weather. It has to be the weather. It's got to be nothing else. I mean, you can go nuts being on your own down here for 9 hours, but...
Yes.
It's a big place to get lost in. So looking forward to that, having a little bit of a sit back and listening to the amazing tracks that you've chosen this evening. Right. Geoff, take it away.
Okay, thank you, John. Right, we kick off with an all-time country music, American music legend, Johnny Cash. This week in 1969, he was responsible for the very first country album to go to number one in the American pop charts. The album was called, and it's an iconic album if ever there was one, Johnny Cash at San Quentin, recorded live in front of several hundred of the inmates of that legendary and infamous sanatorium. I thought we'd kick off with this particular one, and in fact, just let him, well, not him introduce it, him ask the crowd what they would like him to sing.
So what do you want to hear? All right. I walk the line. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone when each day is through. Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Yeah. As sure as night is dark and day is light, I keep you on my mind both day and night. And happiness I've known proves that it's right. Because you're mine, I walk the line. You've got a way to keep me on your side. You give me cause for love that I can't hide. For you I know I'd even try to turn the tide. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line.
All right, indeed. The great Johnny Cash, live at San Quentin Prison. Multi-million selling album in America, topped the American pop charts as well as the country charts this week in 1969. I Walk the Line. Of course, that was the title song of that really excellent biopic of his life story, which came out in 2005 with Joaquin Phoenix as him and Reese Witherspoon as June Carter, his wife. Now on to a rockabilly legend. Sadly no longer with us. He only passed away a few years back. He was born this week in 1936. His name was Dale Hawkins. And he wrote and first recorded this iconic song, which has been recorded by so many people down the years, like Creedence Clearwater Revival and lots of other people. An all-time classic track from 1957. And the guitarist on it was a young 17-year-old called James Burton, who later went on to play for Ricky Nelson and even more famously was Elvis's guitarist in the 70s, right up till the time the King passed. This is Dale Hawkins with Susie Q.
I like the way you walk. We'll say that you'll be true. We'll say that you'll be true and never leave me blue, my Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. I love you, my Susie Q.
Such a great track. The late Dale Hawkins, anniversary of his birth this week, 1936, and Susie Q, recorded in 1957. Now, here's a giant of the blues, born in 1917, one of the all-time legends, John Lee Hooker. Now, this song he first recorded for himself in the 50s, but he had a huge resurgence, I guess, of his career in the 90s into the rock market, when all sorts of people were queuing up to record with him, like Bonnie Raitt and Carlos Santana, many of the big names of the day. And this song, after it featured on a TV ad for that particular brand of jeans, I'm sure you know which one it is, others are available, but it became a great big hit in the singles chart. And this was a remake of John Lee Hooker with his classic song, Boom Boom.
Boom, 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 boom. Gonna shoot you right down at all your feet. Take you home with me. Put you in my house. Boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love to see you walk up and down the floor when you're talking to me. That baby talk. I like it like that. When you talk like that, you knock me dead. That on my feet. How, 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 how. Whoa. She walk that walk and talk that talk and whisper in my ear. Tell me she love me. I love that talk, that baby talk. She knocks me dead right off my feet. How, how? Yeah, yeah. Now, baby. Now, baby. Come on, baby. Now, baby. Walk and talk. Walk, talk. Walk, baby. Talk, baby. To me. Well.
Great John Lee Hooker in the pop charts with a single of That, Boom Boom in 1992, and an album high up in the album charts as well. How great must that have been, like 50 years after he first started recording. Born this week in 1917, Boom Boom. Another great guitarist who sadly died in a helicopter crash in the USA 30 years ago this week. It was a guy called Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of the greatest guitarists there ever was. And ironically, he was on tour with Eric Clapton, and they were both due to fly in the helicopter. Eric declined at the last moment. Talk about fate playing its hand. But Stevie Ray Vaughan and his band Double Trouble were just great. And this was a track that kicked off his 1983 album, Texas Flood. Stevie Ray Vaughan and Lovestruck Baby.
Well, I'm a love-struck baby, I must confess. Life without you, darling, just a silent mess. Thinking about you, baby, give me such a thrill. I gotta have you, baby, can't get my fill. I love you, baby, and I know just what to do. I still remember, let it be said, the way you make me feel, take a fool to forget. I saw a ton of bricks that hit me in the head, and what you do to little baby ain't over it yet. Every time I see you make me feel so fine. Heart beating crazy, my blood running wild. Loving make me feel like a mighty man. Love me, baby, and I am mine. I'm a love-struck baby. Yeah, I'm a love-struck baby. You got me love-struck, baby. And I know just what to do. Sparks start flying every time we meet. Let me tell you, baby, you knock me off my feet. You kiss a trip my up and they just doggone sweet. Don't you know, baby, you can't repeat. I'm a love-struck baby. Yeah, I'm a love-struck baby. You got me love-struck, baby. And I know just what to do.
What a player. The late great Stevie Ray Vaughan, who sadly died in that aircraft accident 30 years ago this week, and Lovestruck Baby. And another fine example of his guitar playing. Next time you hear David Bowie, Let's Dance. That's Stevie Ray Vaughan playing on that album with Mr. Bowie. Now to a duet, which is a lovely track from 1960. Dinah Washington was one of the first and probably only jazz singers to be inducted into the Jazz Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She started recording jazz in the 1940s very successfully and got into more of the pop rock and roll side in the late 50s and early 60s, particularly here, which was actually 1960 to be precise, when she teamed up with the velvet voice of Brooke Benton and had a great big hit with this song. Dinah Washington, Brooke Benton, You Got What It Takes.
Well, now it takes more than a robin to make the weather go, and it takes two lips of fire to melt away the snow.
But it takes two hearts of cooking to make a fire grow. And baby, you've got what it takes.
Oh, yeah.
You know it takes a lot of kissing
Tell me about it.
to make a romance sweet. Ooh, it takes a lot of loving to make my life complete.
And it takes a lot, woman, to knock me off my feet. And baby, you've got what it takes.
I said,
just what it takes, because it takes more than an effort to stay away from you. It takes more than a lifetime to prove that I'll be true.
But it takes somebody special to make me say I do.
Oh, yeah.
And baby, you got what it takes.
You know you've got just what it takes, because it, yeah, oh yeah,
Go ahead, honey.
I like your style.
To stay away from you.
I can't stay away. Come on, let's do it.
It takes more than a lifetime, Daddy,
Yeah.
to prove that I'll be true. Now it's you.
But it takes somebody special
Like me, baby.
to make me say I do.
And baby,
You got what it takes.
Say it again.
Come on, let's do it one more time, all right?
And baby, you got
Dinah Washington, born this week, 1924, with Brooke Benton, and You Got What It Takes. Sounding fantastic in stereo, and you can just imagine and bet they had a really great time recording that. They also had a big American hit with a song called A Rockin' Good Way, which was recorded and a big hit in the UK 20 years later by Shaky and Bonnie Tyler. Right, to one of the greatest pop rebels of all time, and this was a huge hit from 1963. The Drifters were a band who had many changes of personnel down the years, had some really great lead singers. Clyde McPhatter was the first, B&E King, Johnny Moore, and there's still a version of the Drifters going to this day, but there is no connection apart from the name back to any of the original lineup. But this one was an absolute gem from 1963, featuring one of the best lead singers they had, who was only with them for a short while because he very sadly died, had a heart attack soon after. His name was Rudy Lewis, and he was born this week in 1936. He sang on their hit Up on the Roof, their original version of Sweet to My Sweet, which the Searchers did, and this, which, as I said, must be one of the greatest pop rock songs ever written, recorded and produced, with some female backing vocalists as well. Unusual for an all-male band like the Drifters. I'll tell you who they were after we hear the song. Wonderful, glorious track, The Drifters on Broadway.
They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. On Broadway. They say there's always magic in the air. On Broadway. But when you're walking down that street
class record. The Drifters featuring the forgotten man of the lead vocals in the group, Rudy Lewis, born this week in 1936. What a wonderful track. So clever song as well, all those key changes on Broadway. The guitar on that, the legend has it was Phil Spector, but perhaps more importantly, I mentioned there were 3 female backing vocalists added to that. They were no other than, ready for this, Dionne Warwick, Doris Troy, and Cissy Houston, Whitney's mum. There we are, John. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed that. More great songs next week, all being well.
I did. They're now managed by a guy called Phil Ludman, and when they played in Guernsey about 10, 15 years ago, I actually got up on stage and danced with them.
Oh,
that was frightening. That was frightening. Got to say, you played one of my top blues players ever, John Lee Hooker. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And when I hear that track, boom, 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 I can always picture him sat outside Ray's Diner in the movie Blues Brothers.
Of course, the Blues Brothers, yeah. Yes, I thought that was on the other night, but it was Blues Brothers 2, which wasn't quite as good. But I must dig out the original. That was such a great film. Wonderful
Geoff,
stuff.
Always good to catch up with you, mate. Looking forward to next week already. You have a great week.
You too, John. Look after yourself, stay safe, and you at home.